Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of KJ's What Happened. We take a look back on the week. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, as always. So I hope you had a good week. Hope everything's going good for you. Hope you had a good weekend. And thank you for being here to end off your week with me and to start your new one as well. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll get right into this. Quickly before I do, thanks again for being here, man. I appreciate you guys. And I never really get a chance to look at the chat while we're doing this. I know a lot of y'all are talking to each other and it moves pretty quick, but I'm going to do a catching up with KJ show. I keep planning on it, but I've got a few I need to do because I want to have a guest on for one this week. I want to have Casey from Into the Stars on. Hopefully we can do that this week. And then I'll do one where it's just us chatting so I can keep up on the chat with you and just, see where you're at and how you're doing. But until then, millennials are turned off toward sex. Study suggests with 1 in 8 still virgins at 26. Millennials are waiting longer to have sex with 1 in 8 still virgins at 26. The sharp rise in the number of young people waiting longer to have sex may be because of a fear of intimacy and the pressure of social media. The Next Steps project, the brainchild of the Department for Education, which is now managed by University College London, has tracked 16,000 people born in 1988 and 1990 since they were 14. The interviews conducted in 2016 discovered a rise in the number of millennials waiting longer to have sex compared to previous generations, where 1 in 20 reported still being virgins at around the same age. A psychoanalytic psychotherapist at the Ballant Consultancy told the Sunday Times, millennials have been brought up in a culture of hypersexuality, which has bred a fear of intimacy. The women are always up for it with beautiful hard bodies, and the men have permanent erections that is daunting to young people. The fear for young men is of being humiliated, that they can't live up to that, plus the fear of exposure in your Facebook group. Ain't that the truth? That's a whole other thing that some of these generations have to deal with. It's not just, humiliation and mockery and bullying, in real life groups in school or work or whatever, but it's also online. It takes on a whole new meaning. And it's so much more dangerous. People are so much more courageous online, being trolls, just being able to say whatever they want to say and stay anonymous. So yeah, you have one bad night at one of these hookups, whether you're a guy or a girl, and the other one goes off on social media. I mean, that stuff that's going to follow you your entire life. So, but I thought that was an interesting study. This is just kind of gross. National Hockey League tells Brad Marchand to stop licking opponents. This guy, for the second time this postseason, Boston Bruins forward Brad Marchand was caught licking the face of an opposing player. The latest incident happened during the Bruins' 4-3 overtime loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning on Friday night when he was involved in an altercation with Ryan Callahan following a low bridge hit that resulted in Marchand, licking him. I think there's a picture up here. There he is. Look at that, man. That is so gross. Straight up licking that dude. I don't get it. I don't know what it means. I know I don't like it. That much I know. Let's see what else they say here. It says Marchand is a great player, and there is a pretty convincing argument to be made that he is among the top 10 or 15 players in the leagues right now when you combine his production and all-around play. But given incidents like this and the fact he has been suspended or fined more than any other player in the league during the Department of Player Safety era, it all makes him one of the league's most frustrating players. There you go. This guy keeps licking people. That's not cool. Every week, there's more stories of this stuff. I got a couple videos I've been working on, I feel like forever, and I've really been kind of dragging my heels on these, to be honest. these are heavy. They're some of my real heavy videos. And, you know, they're not always easy and fun to make, but you'll see. I'm going to try to get this one completely finished and up tomorrow. But, you know, the stuff I'm seeing and what I'm going to show you is just that it freaks me out even, you know? I mean, it really, I guess that was my escape going to Central America, my escape. But it's like, sometimes I still wish I was somewhere just isolated, you know, to be honest, because, you know, I can't help what I see. And you'll see in the next few videos what I'm talking about. But anyway, it just feels like it's, you know, it is really getting close. Just putting everything together. The event, the revealing of the Antichrist, the harpazo, you know, the catching away, perhaps, however you want to view that. Major tribulation and things that will befall humanity that are going to be straight out of like a science fiction horror film, you know. I'm not trying to be dramatic. This has just been on my mind a lot here lately, you know, and I just hope that it helps. You know, I hope it helps other people to see some of this stuff, to realize what time it is, and just, you know, to make the proper choice. Because right now it's all about choice while you still have it. Sex robots next gen. Every week we got stories on this stuff too. Chinese firm makes huge progress towards full movement cyborgs. Engineers from DS Doll, based in the Chinese port city of Dalian, are developing an artificially intelligent sex robot that will be able to walk, talk, and make decisions without human control. What could go wrong? At the moment, DS Doll is working on its first prototype, a female robot head that can be affixed on to a sex doll body to give the impression of a human replica. Controlled through an app, the robotic head will be programmed to produce facial expressions, including blinking and mouth movement, that appear uncannily human. But eventually, DS Doll wants to be market leaders in producing fully autonomous sex robots that can move their entire bodies. What could go wrong? When the end product is finished, the sex robot could be the closest developers have ever come to creating an android akin to those depicted in sci-fi movies such as Blade Runner and Her. There have been great advancements with both the imminent technology and that which will follow in the coming months and years. Further progress is being made into neck movements and also into full doll autonomic movement for further down the development line. There's a large team of research and development engineers at DS Dolls that are continuously working on both new products and current product improvement. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Jim Baker, little Jimmy Baker, little Jimmy Baker. You know, this is why a lot of us left the church system a long time ago. It's for examples like this, or the religious system, because of people like little Jimmy Baker, little Jimmy Baker. Televangelist Jim Baker suggests that if you want to survive the end of days, the best thing you could do is buy one of his cabins, Missouri's Ozark Mountains. And while you're at it, be sure to pick up 6 28-ounce Extreme Survival Warfare water bottles for $150 a piece. Baker, 78, made comments promoting his Morningside church community alongside his co-host and wife Lori on an episode of The Jim Baker Show, which aired Tuesday. Baker was known for hosting the evangelical Christian TV program, the PTL Club, in the 70s and 80s up until 1987, when his empire came crashing down amid a sex scandal and charges of fraud. Jessica Hahn told the Charlotte Observer last December that Baker had manipulated her into having sex in a hotel room in 1980, back when she was a church secretary. At the time, Baker was married to Tammy Faye. He was convicted in '89 on 24 counts of wire and mail fraud and conspiracy and served 5 years in federal prison. And Tammy Faye then filed for divorce. She died in 2007. Now, surrounded by buckets of food and, quote, warfare water bottles in the Ozarks, Baker is in front of the cameras once again preparing his viewers for the apocalypse. Where are you going to go when the world's on fire? Where are you going to go? This place is for God's people. We need some farmers to move here, Baker said on Tuesday's show. The screen cuts to images of the pastor's end-of-the-world cabin homes in Blue Eye, Missouri. Later in the show, Baker says the Ozarks is the safest place to live versus living in large cities elsewhere in the country like Chicago and New York. Do you know the people from the government, from NASA, the research from so many of them? They have said in their research that the safest place to live in troubled times is right here. That's why God brought us here, Baker said. Baker is just trying to sell property using the same fictional scare tactics he uses to sell buckets of disgusting glop, a blogger said. Right-Wing Watch also pointed to Baker's comments this week, adding that Baker bizarrely brags about the appeal of living near Branson in preparation for end times, while at the same time complimenting the city's #1 Christian theater, Sight and Sound Theaters. Anyway, I think you're getting the gist of this. I think you get it. See what's going on with little Jimmy Baker. Got the cross on the baseball hat. There we go. Little Jimmy Baker. This one's crazy, and I'll probably wind up doing a video on this one because it looks like they're making a sci-fi miniseries about Jack Parson. And Jack Parson was in the OTO. He was connected with a lot of Aleister Crowley's teachings. He's a rocket scientist. And you can see right here, there's all the occult stuff. I'm glad they're going to show the occult stuff in this at least, and they're not bypassing it. But he was heavily into the occult, and he's a rocket scientist. And a lot of people believe he was, integral in creating these ideas of portals and speaking with entities on the other side and gaining knowledge from the fallen ones and all this stuff. So very interesting character. They made a show about him here called Strange Angel. It's coming on CBS here soon. So there you go. You want to go down a rabbit hole, look into Jack Parson. It's some crazy stuff. So it's interesting to me to show about it. Another one of these self-driving cars just crashed. I think here's a video. It's only like 5 seconds. Here it is. Self-driving car just goes crazy. Look at that. Boom. Another self-driving vehicle has been involved in a crash. It's the second such wreck in less than 2 months. This time it was a Waymo car. Waymo released video Friday evening of the moments leading up to the crash. It shows a car veering out of its lane and coming directly towards the Waymo car. It happened in Chandler, at Chandler Boulevard in Los Feliz. The Waymo vehicle was not the violator vehicle and was in autonomous mode with an occupant behind the wheel at the time of the collision. According to the police, the driver of a Honda heading east on Chandler Boulevard had to swerve to avoid hitting a car that was going north on Los Feliz. The Honda veered into the westbound lanes of Chandler Boulevard and struck the Waymo vehicle, which was traveling at a slow speed and in autonomous mode. Waymo released the following statement. Today, while testing our self-driving vehicle in Chandler, Arizona, another car traveling in an oncoming lane swerved across the median and struck our minivan. Our team's mission is to make our roads safer. It is at the core of everything we do and motivates every member of our team. We are concerned about the well-being and safety of our test driver and wish her a full recovery. There you go. Self-driving car. And here's another reason why many of us left the church system, the religious system, because everything's coming out, everything's being revealed, and it's becoming a lot more clear now, isn't it? Mormon support for gay marriage gradually grows. Mormons have always been known as one of the more strict kind of religions. A good friend of mine that was in the military with me, Brad, for a few years, he was a Mormon. His whole family were Mormon, and they were the cleanest living kind of people I ever knew. You know, like really good people. Didn't even use, quote, dirty words or anything. You know, legalist, of course, you know, very legalistic, very works-based. But anyway, very good people was my experience. Mormon Alex Landers supports the legalization of gay marriage despite her religion's opposition for a simple reason. She has LGBTQ friends who she loves and respects, including her best friend who is a bisexual man. I've said this in some shows for the last couple of years off and on, but that LGBTQ stuff was eventually going to be one of the biggest wedges between Christianity and like an attack on Christianity, and Christianity in some forms even being outlawed. That's one of the things they're definitely going to be using. I mean, we all see it. You should see it by now. But anyway, and this is an example, I think, right here of the division and how they'll do it. I can't look at him and his boyfriend and tell them they can't be happy and they can't love each other, said Landers 20 of Draper, Utah. Heavenly Father loves us for who we are. He wants us to be happy. I never thought that. Does God want us just to be happy? You tell me. I mean, you're supposed to just be happy all the time? I don't know. There's a season for every emotion because we feel them all, right? I don't think God wants us to be in some nonstop state of happiness. Am I wrong? Anyway, I think that's more the religious type system. He wants us to be happy as long as we're treating people well and we're being who we truly are, and we're not hurting anyone. She's among a growing number of young Mormons driving the faith's gradual acceptance of same-sex marriages, even though the religion's support still lags well behind national approval and those of Catholics, Muslims, and Jews, according to the survey released this week by the Public Religion Research Institute. The survey found that 40% of Mormons in the United States support gay marriage in 2017, up from 27% in 2014. Among Mormons between the ages of 18 and 29, the acceptance is 52%. That's up from 43% in 2014. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints who are 65 and older have the lowest rate of support at 32%, according to a survey based on about 40,000 phone interviews done last year. So nationally, 61 Americans support gay marriage. 61 Americans only? Okay. Support gay marriage, up from 52% in 2013. Maybe there's supposed to be a percent there. I'm not sure. The Utah-based religion of 16 million worldwide members has held firm to its opposition of gay marriage and homosexual activity while trying to foster an empathetic stance towards LGBTQ people. Last year, church leaders updated a website to advise that attraction to people of the same sex is not a sin or a measure of their faithfulness and may never go away. But the church reminded members that being in an intimate same-sex relationship is a sin. Let me read that again. What did I say? Last year, church leaders updated a website to advise that attraction to people of the same sex is not a sin or a measure of their faithfulness and may never go away. Okay. Among religious groups included in the survey, only white evangelical Protestants and Jehovah's Witnesses had lower levels of support for gay marriage. Okay. What do you think about all that? What do you think? This is one of the reasons California is working on that law to outlaw the sale of any book that may basically counter homosexuality or talk about like reforming homosexuals or anything. And I mean, the wording's interesting, but obviously the Bible's going to be one of those books. So, we're seeing a beginning of this kind of stuff more and more. I did a video a few months ago called First the Statues, Then the Churches. And you can go back and check that one out. But now you're seeing it. We're starting to see that shift. We've seen this heavy dividing line, I believe, between the wheat and the tares, the sheep and the goats. And look at these people out here. They call them leftists or whatever, Antifa and stuff like this. But I mean, as a whole, look at that energy. Look at these people. Look at the violence, the hatred, the anger, the animosity. It's like you can't have civil discussions anymore, right? Especially when concerned with politics and things like this, without one group wanting to turn cars over and set a city on fire. So, we're seeing that dividing line. We know that those kind of people exist. What will be the next target? Well, I believe it's coming, and it's coming quickly, but it's going to be Christianity and Christians. I mean, for the most part, it's already conservatives and people to the right, and that's what the main narrative is right now, is how it's mainly against alt-right or conservatives. And you've seen Bill O'Reilly went down, and they're after Hannity, and they're going after all these right-type people, right? And a lot of them are going down, but what happens after them? Who's next? Well, I mean, we've all been kind of waiting on it, but it looks like the writing's on the wall, and we're starting to see that grow, So, I mean, it won't be full on until, the man of sin or the son of perdition is fully revealed. But we see glimpses. Of these things. This guy ate 30,000 Big Macs. And he's got a bowl haircut too, which is just, I'm not trying to make fun of someone's looks. I just can't help but notice. But I ate 30,000 Big Macs and I have a bowl haircut. It's like something's got to give. Don Gorski gobbled down his 30,000th Big Mac Friday at the same McDonald's where he got his first taste of the beefed up burger in 1972.
Good afternoon, ladies.
At the time, it was the only McDonald's in town, and I had just gotten my driver's license, Gorski said, just prior to setting a new world record of most Big Macs consumed. The popular fast food chain promoted the Big Mac enthusiasts' monumental ingestion held at 3 p.m. under the Golden Arches on Military Road and attended by McDonald's Fox Valley's franchise owner, D.W. Rouse. Don has a passion for Big Macs like no other, Rouse said. He has been an extremely loyal customer at my Military Road McDonald's for more than 45 years, and I am excited to celebrate him and his new record. These kudos as well came straight from national headquarters. We are loving Don Gorski's enthusiasm for our iconic Big Mac sandwich and appreciate his ongoing loyalty to McDonald's. This one is a biggie for me, something I've been looking forward to, said Gorski, a 64-year-old retired prison guard. He last made the news in October 2017 when representatives from the Guinness Book of World Records traveled to Fond du Lac, not sure, to record him eating his 29,482nd Big Mac, broadcast on a Facebook live feed. The Big Mac Maniac? I like that. The Big Mac Maniac. Big Mac, that'd be a good name for a punk band too. Big Mac Maniac. The Big Mac Maniac gave a half-hour presentation to the crowd, which gathered to watch him take that first bite of the 30,000 all-beef patty with special sauce, lettuce, chickles, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Okay, I get it. It's a lot of Big Macs. Would you do that? Would you eat 30,000 Big Macs? I wouldn't. This is more stuff that's in one of my newer videos I'm working on, because there's a lot of stuff going on about DNA. Criminals could alter their DNA to evade justice with new genetic editing tools. A revolutionary genetic editing technique designed to repair faulty DNA could be used by criminals to evade justice, experts have said. The CRISPR system acts like molecular scissors to snip away damaged genes and replace them with healthy code, and it is hoped it will one day fix genetic diseases such as sickle cell anemia, cystic fibrosis, and muscular dystrophy. But Professor George Church of Harvard University, who pioneered the use of the CRISPR technique, said it would be possible for criminals to use the technique to disappear from forensic databases or to evade detection. All right, interesting.
After years of research, the lab...
More stuff right here with cloning. Fears raised over human cloning, lab and controversial embryo experiments. Excuse me, I'm gonna take a drink here. Iced tea. The Research Institute combined two types of stem cells to create a viable embryo, which could then be replicated multiple times. Amazingly, it means the researchers didn't use either an egg or sperm to create the very beginning of human life. The embryos the lab has made will be used for medical testing, specifically to figure out why embryos fail to implant in women's wombs. The experiment was carried out by scientists from the Merlin Institute. Of course. Scientists from the Merlin Institute. Lead researcher, Professor Nicholas Riveren, says, as you know, embryos are very precious, and it is impossible to use to test drugs on them as you don't have the numbers. With blastocysts, you can open up the numbers. This will allow screening medicines in the future. I do not believe in using blastocysts for human reproduction. This is ethically very questionable. This would be clones of somebody who is already alive. Human cloning is totally forbidden. This would be cloning of somebody with this. We're living in a science fiction movie. Professor Clemens, department chair at Merlin, added, this research opens the path to a new biomedical discipline. We can create large numbers of model embryos and build up new knowledge by systematically testing new medical techniques and potential medicines. It also dramatically reduces the need for animal experimentation. But fears have been raised. The research is paving the way for human cloning. Professor Robin Lovell Badge called it a relief the team is not yet at the human cloning stage. He said, it may come as a relief to others that such a method of producing mainly genetically identical human embryo-like structures that might be capable of implantation is not feasible, even if it would be illegal to implant them into women, as is clearly the situation in the UK. Okay, got it. Whoa, what's that? Rare medical condition. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp. You know, when I think of a Hollywood Satanist, you know, a lot of times, you know, you may feel like you're just speculating. You know, you don't really have enough evidence. There's not enough confirmation with some of these people. But when I think of it, I really think about Johnny Depp. To me, he's the epitome of somebody who's deeply involved in that Hollywood satanic system. For many reasons. I mean, his roles, for one, but you can listen to the things he's said. I did a video, a compilation of clips on him over on my website several months back, but it's just, this guy's a very, very, he's a tormented character to me when I look at him. He's tormented, and he's got a lot of demons, and he's even talked about these demons he has. I mean, there's just a lot of weird stuff that has to do with Satanism or satanic individuals connected with Johnny Depp. So much so, I don't think it's all just a coincidence. And eventually, you know, those things are going to come back to get you. You know, you may get fame for a while. You may have lots of money and all this. But eventually, if you're dancing with the devil, you're going to get your shoes dirty. So let's see what happened here. A little bit of this. The descriptions sound like a typical day at sea for Captain Jack Sparrow. Volatile, reckless, vices, chaos, hurricane. The Pirates of the Caribbean character is, after all, a drunken pirate who sails through fiascos and misadventures. It is Johnny Depp, however, not Sparrow, who is accused of presiding over such mayhem in a drama playing out not on screen but in court. 2 bodyguards made the allegations in a lawsuit this week, which piled fresh acrimony on Depp's reputation, renewing doubts over his future as Hollywood's quirkiest and possibly most beloved leading man. The multi-claim lawsuit over unpaid wages and working conditions detailed a lifestyle of dysfunction and chaos. The 2 plaintiffs alleged that a financial hurricane and a toxic environment enveloped Depp's Hollywood Hills compound from 2016. The suit alleges oftentimes plaintiffs were forced to protect Depp from himself and his vices while in public. An incident at a local nightclub involved plaintiffs alerting Depp of illegal substances visible on his face and person while preventing onlookers from noticing Depp's condition. More damning allegations can be expected if the ex-employees obtain a jury trial in Los Angeles Superior Court. It's a puzzle straight out of Hollywood Babylon. How can a star who has reputedly earned more than $650 million struggle to pay his bills? So profligacy, it's a fancy word, profligacy. I'm not familiar with that one. Profligacy barely counts as vice in Hollywood, but Depp's epic expenditure, in addition to fast cars and planes, he bought a French village, a $22 million yacht, and a string of Caribbean islands, while allegedly blowing through $2 million a month, including $30,000 a month on wine, rivals out of the castle collecting Nicolas Cage. In recent years, this has led to Depp clashing with, firing, and suing a rotating retinue of managers and lawyers who in turn have sued him over allegedly broken contracts and unpaid fees, draining more funds from the Depp treasure chest and dumping more revelations about his private life overboard. All right. So I won't read the whole article. Pretty much done right there anyway, but Johnny Depp, Hollywood Satanist, falls from grace. Check this out. This is just a weird video, but I'll blow it up. Check this out. What is this? What do you think this thing is?
Benang dia kita. Lompat.
Weird, huh? What do you think it could be? Kind of cute, huh? I'd still be afraid to touch it. But what is one of those laws of nature? Like usually things that are dangerous or poisonous are really bright colored or have standout type colors. This looks like a bunch of Q-tips somehow merged together and decided to become a being. A little cute little Q-tip creature. I'm pretty sure that's not what it is, but it kind of looks that way. I'd want to touch it and play with it, you know, and say hi. But then who knows? Maybe it's deadly and poisonous. I don't know. Anyway, I never seen anything like it. That's on Mavi777's channel. Shout out to Mavi there. Again, man, we're living in a science fiction movie. You realize this, right? Really what it is we're seeing all the predictive programming and social engineering for years starting to pay off now because they're starting to manifest this stuff in our reality. The life-size holograms are set to revolutionize video conferencing. And they've already done some of this hologram stuff. They brought back Michael Jackson in a concert through hologram. I think they had Tupac up there on another one. So it's coming, but it's becoming more normalized. Take a look at this. That's all. Pretty wild, though, huh? Wow, you've heard about this, right? This footage really blows me away. I think I've got another one with drone footage of what's happening in Hawaii. But you heard about the earthquakes, the eruptions, 6.9 magnitude quake southeast of the volcano was the most powerful to hit since 1975. We just had one there. This might be one of the older stories. No, it's 5th of May. How big was this new one? Anyway, yeah, I'll show you some footage here in a second. It might be the next story here. So a lot of this stuff's happening, though. I mean, Earth is going through major changes as well. The Ring of Fire is what that is. That's connected with Hawaii. It's called the Ring of Fire. Look that up. But the Ring of Fire seems to be popping off. Then you got New Zealand being affected here as well. Massive sinkhole in New Zealand. Right there. Look at that shot. Look at that. So even there's chaos happening politically in society, with religions, wars. Now the world's cracking up. Well, I was telling you guys about this subject here. As this subject here will rise and becomes more acceptable and popular and really forced on us, there's gonna be a break, because God's word is against that, and that's what the standard they're going to use. I think this will be one of the tools they use. It'll be one of the tools they use in turning all of that anger, the vitriol, that hatred that so many people in this world have over, like the right or alt-right and all this, the violent ones. It'll be turned more towards Christians and Christianity. The Illinois state passed a bill Wednesday that would require public schools in the state to teach lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender history, as well as use inclusive and non-discriminatory textbooks. The bill, which passed with a 34-18 vote, would require all elementary and high schools to teach a unit studying the role and contributions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in the history of this country and this state. Supporters of the legislation, such as Democrat Senator Heather Steens, who sponsored the measure, told Fox News that teaching LGBT history in schools is important to increase compassion and understanding, as well as to provide historical role models for LGBT students. It's coming. There's a storm coming. It's kind of already here. Here's that drone footage. It's pretty incredible. Check this out. Now, this is from a few days ago. It's a lot worse now. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. Interesting stuff. Ugh. Ugh. Now we have this. Grace Cathedral's Beyonce Mass draws faithful crowd of 900 plus. Beyonce Mass. Yet another reason why many of us have left the church system, the religious system, and fully rely on our relationship, personal relationship, in our faith in our Lord, and also in our faith in Jesus Christ, and reading the Word for ourselves. Because this is what's happening with the church system and the religious system. You know, everything's coming out, as I said. It's, the apocalypse means the great revealing. Everything's being revealed. Now you're seeing it. I'm not saying overall. I mean, my parents still go to a nice small church, same one I was raised in. All very good people, you know, a nice group of people and everything. And I'm glad I was raised in the church. But, you know, there's still some issues there, you know. A diverse crowd of many ages, races, and denominations snaked through the courtyard. Snaked. That's right. They snaked through the courtyard at Grace Cathedral Wednesday night, waiting for the doors to open at the church's first ever Beyonce Mass. Staff at the Episcopal Cathedral estimated that over 900 people came to the celebration of the traditional service using the music and social philosophy of the Illuminati satanic sellout. I heard about it about a week ago and was intrigued, said Devin Daniels, 28, of San Francisco, who sported a hat reminiscent of the singer's headgear in her Formation music video. I've followed Beyonce forever and was of course revved up to come tonight by her recent Coachella performance. Yeah, this is real. This is real. Oh my gosh. I'm going to church. Scientists create contact lenses that shoot laser beams. Scientists have created contact lenses which allow the wearer to shoot lasers from their eyes like Superman. The ultra-thin membranes are placed on the iris and produce a green beam which can shine up to 20 inches from the eye. Scientists said the beam of light could be used to help in a medical setting or to check for counterfeit banknotes. Professor Gather, who is part of a research team at St. Andrews University in Scotland, said, "The intensity of the laser is so low you can put it in the eye without damaging it. It is a new milestone in laser development." Wow. And this, I mean, we know mobile phone cancer warning is malignant brain tumors double. And that's another one, man. Remember, way back when smartphones started coming out and people were talking about dangers of cancer and they were conspiracy theorists and loons and made fun of. I mean, this stuff always comes out. It just takes some time. And now many years later, Well, now we're finding out the truth. Mobile phone cancer warning as malignant brain tumors double. Inside the pretentious yoga retreat from hell. I sat in a circle of 7 women and 1 man inside a pagoda in the gardens of the hotel in Tolala in Sri Lanka's south. Mary Kate was our retreat leader, pushed her palms together in prayer and smiled. She made eye contact with us each immediately. Hers were blue and wide, and her brows stretched meaningfully towards one another. Thanks for that. We really needed it. Thanks for the extra. And what about her eyebrows? Oh, okay. They stretched meaningfully towards one another. Thanks. In the middle, of the circle were flowers, crystals, tarot cards, sage leaves, a picture of Ganesha, and a feather. Welcome. She thanked us all for coming. She thanked Mother Gaia. Agenda 2030 to Mother Goddess, Mother Gaia, Mother Earth worship, Mother Gaia for having us. She thanked the nation of Sri Lanka for hosting us and said she didn't know much about the country, but that it probably had some healing to do like us. And at the same time, her eyebrows were stretched meaningfully towards one another. Mary Kate made requests that differentiated her kind of yoga from that which I'd practiced in the 10 years prior. There was a lot more fanfare. We weren't bending forward. We were pouring our torsos over our legs. We weren't extending to the right. We were painting the sky toward the ocean. I don't want to read any more of this. I'm not even sure why I popped this up. Anyway, maybe it was just the title, Inside the Pretentious Yoga Retreat from Hell. I'm not sure. The only thing I really took away from this was that one chick's eyebrows were stretched meaningfully towards one another.
Newton, Kansas police used a stun gun on...
Police used stun gun on man attempting to have sex with a car. A Kansas man attempting to insert his into the tailpipe of a car had to be subdued with a stun gun after refusing to listen to the police. We were called to the 1200 block of East Broadway to a report of a naked man underneath a car, said Lieutenant Scott Powell. He was attempting to stick his into the tailpipe of the vehicle. The suspect did not respond to officer commands, and officers used a stun gun to subdue him. Wow.
Disturbing video tonight showing a 17-year-old being...
Yeah, check this out, man. It's a short video, but these kids literally just pulled up and stole the shoes off this kid's feet.
Disturbing video tonight showing a 17-year-old being robbed of his sneakers. You can see 3 people lifting him up and knocking him to the ground on Quince Avenue in Flushing this past Saturday. Police say the robbers also took the victim's wallet, which contained a $10 and a debit card. They pulled up to the scene and drove off in a white sedan. Triggers a lockdown and...
Cell phone video captures the moment a helicopter flies above a Totowa, New Jersey neighborhood.
Check this out. There's more of these kind of things happening as well lately. These exercises. If I can just get that to go. Let's try that.
Oh, that is sick. There's excitement in the photographer's voice, but that's because this was taken on the second night of action.
I've never seen anything like this before.
Michael Melograno took that video from his backyard on Rutherford Court. The helicopter's flying right above the North Jersey Developmental Center, which is under construction.
There was a Black Hawk helicopter flying right over here.
He can now laugh and even brag about what happened, but in the heat of the moment, he says his entire block was petrified.
I was really scared. I had no idea what was going on.
Around 10 o'clock at night on April 16th, this community was rocked by piercing explosions.
Pretty scary about that, that's happening in the night times.
First, it was explosions, and then The chopper was so low that our house was vibrating.
Most of the block came running outside in panic. John Amola says his daughter called 911 to find out what was happening, but got a short answer.
They said, well, you got to talk to the state police about it.
Eventually, they learned members of the United States Armed Forces were training in secret for 3 nights. So we went to both local and state police to find out why these residents weren't given a heads up. Neighbors say they should have been informed, and next time they're hoping they get a heads up before they have to look up. Dick Brennan, CBS 2 News.
And local police and New Jersey State Police.
So yeah, there's a lot of those kinds of things happening. You know, I did a Catching Up with KJ show several months ago where I told y'all my experience. I went out to one of these things that was local and played like, there's a bunch of us, there's probably 30 of us or so out there, but we went out there and we did a drill with the military. Like they pay you to go out there and play a role. And I talked all about it on this show. It was a few months ago. A lot of you heard about it and know, but I was curious, what was going on. And that's what they were doing. It was like, an explosion had happened at a hospital or something like this. But even back then, some of the guys I talked to that were running the drills and stuff were saying that they're doing this stuff all the time now. There's been a big uptick in how often they're doing these. They're doing tons of them for radiation and atomic weapons and stuff like that and poisoning. And it's pretty interesting. So, you got that going on too. This dust storm killed people. I mean, I knew there were some major dust storms in the Middle East. And this one right here in India, killed 27 people and nearly 100 injured as a dust storm. These thunder showers wreak havoc. I was really surprised by that. Look at that. Look at that storm, man. Look at that. It's like a tsunami wave just coming right at you.
A man has been banned from 2 Florida parks and charged with cruelty to animals after allegedly kicking several swans in the head for karate practice. A man has been banned from 2 Florida parks and charged with cruelty to animals after allegedly kicking several swans in the head for karate practice. CBS affiliate WKMG in Orlando reports. Rocco Mantella was seen by multiple witnesses at Lake Eola allegedly attacking the swans as well as a sleeping duck on April 26th. Police were called in to stop Mantella, who was allegedly hitting the swans, quote, as hard as possible. Matt Uris for CBSMiami.com.
That's just the worst. Look at that meathead. Kicking these little animals, kicking these little birds for his karate practice. It's crazy. Mystery pooper at New Jersey High School's track turned out to be superintendent. This is just a weird one. Here's the guy. The Kenilworth School superintendent charged Monday with defecating in public was caught in the act at the Holmdel High School football field and track after surveillance was set up due to human feces being found on a daily basis. Thomas Tramaglini, 42, lives about 3 miles from the high school in neighboring Aberdeen. He was running at the track on the athletic fields at 5:50 a.m. before he was arrested. Track coaches and staff at the high school told the district's resource officer that they found human feces on or near the football field and track daily. Holmdel police said in a statement. School employees began monitoring the area on Monday. And on Monday, police arrested the guy at 5:50 a.m. He's charged with lewdness and littering. He has taken a paid leave of absence from his $147,504 a year job in Kenilworth. I couldn't even dream of making that. I mean, I've basically been poverty level most of my life. A lot of you have too, I'm sure. I have had a lot of awesome experiences, though. That's the thing. I never really had a lot of money, but I have had a lot of great experiences. I got to go a lot of places. But anyway, this isn't about me. This is about the mystery pooper. A guy that had a job worth all that money, and he still goes and does something that's stupid. You know?
After years of research, the laboratory...
Cloning horror. Human clone fears as Euroscientists create life from nothing. More of this. The experimental research combined two types of stem cells and created a viable embryo, which the team say would provide an unlimited stock for medical research. The created embryos would also be used for medical treatment, testing, and help shed light on one of the biggest infertility enigmas, why embryos fail to implant in the womb. However, critics say this is a huge step towards human cloning. Of course. The researchers believe the wonder creation could see mice being cloned in 3 years' time and humans only 2 decades later. There's a storm coming.
There have reportedly been some pretty sporty alligator sightings across the South. There have reportedly been some pretty sporty alligator sightings across the South as their mating season begins, including this one in Texas on U.S. Route 59. The gator reportedly measured 11.5 feet and is expected to be relocated, if not already done so, alive to a safe place out of harm's way. According to Florida wildlife officials, it's likely the massive gator sightings won't stop anytime soon. The agency says the alligator mating season takes place in May and June. Matt Uris for CBS 4 News.
Hello, everyone.
Have you ever seen an alligator or a crocodile in its natural environment? I had a friend that lived in Florida years ago and went down there and visited him and his family. This is a while back. But where they were living in Florida, they had them like basically in their backyards. These alligators would get in people's backyards and stuff. They'd be in the neighborhood. It was scary, man. Those things were really scary. And in Costa Rica, you could get on this little canoe type ride and you can basically ride next to all these massive crocodiles. They have a whole area out there just filled with crocodiles, and you can go on this little boat ride and kind of like literally be right by them where you could touch them. You know, I wouldn't, but you know, you could. But when I was out there, it was interesting. There was a lot of, you know, rumors and whispers about how a lot of people got thrown off the bridge over there because there was a bridge you'd go under, and under the bridge and all around it was muddy banks, and these crocodiles loved the mud and just rolling around in the mud, and there's tons of them. And that was the story, is that that's a place people would take people, usually, you know, people in crime and stuff, and they would dump people over the side of that bridge and just let the crocodiles have them. I mean, to me, that would just be one of the most horrific ways to ever go. More of this stuff, more of the censorship and all that. Zuckerberg's announcement means final remaining conservative voices on Facebook will be eliminated by Election Day. And we know they're doing this to any voice from the right. They said that's the narrative. It's conservative voices, alt-right, stuff like this, but gun owners and all that. But eventually that narrative will change to Christians. Kanye West has been really interesting to watch lately. There's so much going on with him. So much with this guy, man. It's just, he's a very interesting subject. He's connected to the witches. He's married to a witch, you know, the Kardashians. So a little coven of witches. So he's connected with that stuff. He's buddies with Trump. He went on that rant a while back in one of his concerts where he was telling people the truth about everything. Everything he was talking about was truth. Facebook and Google all in it together, and how music is you only hear certain bands for certain reasons, and just everything else. But he was basically just having kind of a moment there where he was just putting it all out there, you know. And then right after that, they said he needed to go to the hospital for a couple of weeks because he was dehydrated or exhaustion or something. And of course, they had to tweak him a little bit, I'm sure. And then when he comes out of that, he's got his hair dyed blonde. I did a video on all this stuff. It all has to do with programming. But he came out, his hair is blonde, he's hanging out with Trump. And then just last week, he was talking about how him and Trump both have dragon energy and all this. So it's very interesting. I'm still waiting to do a video because I know there's a lot more to come from him. So I'll eventually do a big video, probably something strange is happening with Kanye West or something. But He's interesting to watch right now. See what they're doing with him, you know. And we get more of this because we are moving towards a genderless society. Androgyny. Full-on androgyny. Boy Scouts to drop boy from name. Boy Scouts of America is changing the name of its signature group, the Boy Scouts, for the first time in its 108-year history. The scouting organization, originally designed for boys ages 11 to 17, will be called Scouts BSA starting in February. The move to a gender-neutral name arrives on the heels of the organization's decision to accept girls into its ranks next year. Well, there you go. It's trampling any trace of masculinity underfoot. Any trace is being stomped out. Or inclusion. And creepy story here. Creepy story of the week. There's always a bunch of them in there. Caitlyn Jenner to marry transgender student 47 years her junior, as it's revealed she hasn't met Khloe and Kim's babies. So Caitlyn's going to marry, let's see if there's a picture. There they are. Caitlyn is going to marry that transgender woman. And there's that. This will be, traditional marriage is falling apart. We got more of this kind of stuff happening. We're living in a world that's turned upside down. You realize that, right? No reason to be afraid of it. I say enjoy the ride. And just enjoy the ride. Fight what you can when you can. And it's mainly a battle of knowledge and information, really. 65% of public school 8th graders not proficient in reading. 67% not proficient in math. 65% of public school 8th graders not proficient in reading. There's a big problem right there. Fact, let's see here. Remember this story? I think we did this one just last week. Schools are removing old-fashioned clocks because the kids can't tell time. I can't play the clip. There's a clip you can find on YouTube. Kids can't tell time, put that in there or something. But there's a clip where they did this. They showed clocks to different children and asked them what time it is, and the kids were stumped. Like, none of the kids knew what time it was. It's pretty crazy.
Police in Butler County are investigating a weird incident. In Butler County are investigating a weird incident. They say a man dressed as a clown attacked a boy with a baseball bat. It allegedly happened in the woods near Hooker Road and Katanning Pike in Karn City, Butler County. The boy told police he heard a woman scream, and then a person wearing a clown mask walked out of the woods and hit him in the leg. Anyone with information is asked to call police.
So I've done lots of videos in the past on all that creepy clown stuff, and that it's a spirit, I believe, and still alive and well. And I believe that's what we're seeing. And we see people doing this stuff, dressing up like clowns and committing violent acts or just creeping people out. It's a spirit. It's working through those people. I was talking about like the sheep and the goats, and we're seeing people who are being shown for who they are and doing what they do. Their hearts are manifesting into our reality, all of us. These May Day riots, you hear about this? Paris May Day riots see far-left anarchists smash windows and loot at McDonald's as thousands of mask-wearing protesters bring chaos to the French capital. And that's just, to me, it's a spirit. It's an energy. It's in a lot of people, not just in Paris, also in America and all around the world, and we're seeing it rise. More of this kind of stuff. Some people just want to destroy. They just want to destroy. Cause chaos. Feet rushing to wickedness. Ancient lost city of King David is uncovered near Jerusalem. An expert says it proves the Bible is accurate. Historians believe they have uncovered a building belonging to the ancient settlement which is linked to King David. Archaeologists are divided over whether or not biblical figures such as King David and King Solomon ever existed. Professor Faust, these names. Professor Faust said the latest find backs the case of the historical accuracy of the Bible. He says the latest discovery is part of the events in the Bible described to the kingdom of David. New Cigna study reveals loneliness at epidemic levels in America. This is another one of those I'll be putting into a video and getting more into the article, but the survey of more than 20,000 U.S. adults, ages 18 and older, nearly half of Americans report sometimes or always feeling alone or left out. 1 in 4 Americans rarely or never feel as though there are people who really understand them. 2 in 5 Americans sometimes or always feel that their relationships are not meaningful and that they're isolated from others. 1 in 5 people report they rarely or never feel close to people or feel like there are people they can talk to. Americans who live with others are less likely to be lonely compared to those who live alone. However, this does not apply to single parents' guardians. Even though they live with children, they are more likely to be lonely or feel lonely. Only around half of Americans have meaningful in-person social interactions, such as having an extended conversation with a friend or spending quality time with family on a daily basis. Generation Z, adults aged 18 to 22, is the loneliest generation and claims to be in worse health than older generations. Social media use alone is not a predicator of loneliness. Respondents defined as very heavy users of social media have a loneliness score 43.5 that is not markedly different from the score of those who never use social media. So there's that. And that concludes our stories. Let me jump over here to the chat and say hi, guys, and see what's going on. How we doing here, folks? I know there's usually a little bit of a delay here. Hi, Effie. Thanks for being here. And so, yeah, I'm in chat. Just want to say hi, see how you guys are doing. I'm waiting for it to catch up. But I hope you're doing well. Hope you enjoyed the show. And thanks for being here once again, as always. I'll do a hangout, like a catching up. Like I said, I'm planning on doing a couple this week. So we can just kind of hang out and talk a little bit more. And any questions you have or anything, you can put into the chat and we can talk about it. And, until then, just thanks again. I really want to thank my patrons, guys, those of you who are hanging with me. Thank you so very much. I started my website a year ago because of the adpocalypse. I knew I needed a place to post things that I knew wouldn't go through on YouTube. And it's also a good place for my banned videos. I've got a new one. YouTube a few days ago blocked one of my videos worldwide. Another one. It's my Mother video I did on that movie Mother. So that'll be uploaded to the website here in a couple days. And the thing is now I'm up on a year on the website. I've had it for a year. And now I've got the yearly costs, to keep it up for another year and also the security. So, if you haven't helped out in the past and if you want to, if you appreciate the shows, the website, the videos, please consider, supporting this month, maybe through Patreon or PayPal. I'll leave links below. Also going through my sponsors, Silver Botanicals. You can check out silverbotanicals.com. Replace toxic products in your household with Silver Botanicals. Anything like that would help, man. I really appreciate it. I hate having to ask. I never like having to ask. I'm so grateful again for those of you who stay with me on Patreon. YouTube, it's still iffy when they monetize things or not. I never come out asking for things, and you guys know I wouldn't ask you for anything that I wouldn't do. I support people on Patreon, and I've even given out money on the channel in the past as well. But anyway, that's what it is, man. It's up to that time. So I've got to pay these fees by the end of the month, keep the website up and running. If you can help, I'd really appreciate it. It'd be awesome. And just thank you. So I'm rambling. I'll go ahead and stop doing that now. Once again, I really appreciate you guys. I've got a couple videos coming up over the next few days. They're pretty heavy. but just, you know, you'll see what I mean when I get him out there, and I really have to do this. You know, just guys, it's crazy. There is a really a quickening taking place, you know, and I know you see some of that through my videos and a lot of other people's videos as well. And you'll see what I'm talking about. And just, you know, again, I'm not a preacher man, but if you don't have Jesus, please understand, in my opinion, that's what all this stuff comes down to. No, you're not going to be perfect just because you have accepted Christ and followed Christ. You know, but you'll be taken care of at least. You know, your sins can be wiped clean. And then you can work on repentance and work on following the ways of Christ and everything. You know, it's, again, you're not going to be perfect. But it's decision time, you know. It's decision time. So I'll leave you with that, man, without rambling too much. God bless you guys. Thanks again for being here, and I'll talk to you later, okay? I'll see you next time.